Dr. Diane Duckett, and welcome to another episode of Becoming You. This podcast is to help assist you in becoming a better, successful you in life and in business. I am delighted to share with you today on just that. We know that becoming a better you takes work. In fact, it takes a lot of work that we sometimes really don't want to do ourselves. So today, I want to talk about, do you really want to change? There's an illustration by Charles Schulz, creator of the Peanuts cartoon. On one occasion, Lucy had Lucy observing, Charlie Brown, life is like a deck chair. Like what? Haven't you ever been on a cruise ship, Charlie Brown? Passengers open up these canvas decks chairs so they can sit in the sun. Some people place their chairs facing the rear of the ship so they can see where they've been. Other people face their chairs forward. They want to see where they're going on the cruise ship of life. Charlie Brown, which way is your deck chair facing? Charlie Brown thinks for a moment and replies, gee, I've never been able to get one unfolded. Do you ever feel that way? It seems like all the people around you know who they are and where they're headed, while you fumble your life away trying to unfold the deck chair. Maybe you're disabled emotionally because of past or present hurt and abuse, blind to beauty and hope and purpose or truth, paralyzed and incapacitated by fear or addiction or habits of sin, preoccupied with yourself and your problems. In life, we all have challenges we must face, challenges that sometimes can be hard for one to comprehend. Life changes are meant for us to move towards a sense of fulfillment or to move towards something great. Challenges are meant for us to tear down those very things which hold us back and keep us stuck to the point where we are glued to whatever seat of condition that has us just hoping and wishing for a turnaround. It is said that many who are stuck have low self-esteem, low confidence, low self-worth, not being significant, are in an identity crisis and not understanding who they really are. Because life told you you were a nobody. And guess what? Nobodies don't matter. Understand that sometimes challenges say to us that we're either too young, too old, too inexperienced, or too overqualified, too busy, or too lazy. And sometimes it's more serious. We carry the baggage of being abused and misused in some unfair way. We've been in positions that value and appreciation didn't exist. We long for approval of this person or that person, and at the end of the day, be rejected by the ones you need approval from. We worry about how to pay the bills and put food on the table. If somebody could just say, let it go, let it go, let it go, then our change may come. But of course, we're dealing with life, right? And life will throw you all kinds of curveballs to make the challenges even harder. And I'm reminded of a text in scripture found in John chapter 5. It says, now there was a man who had been disabled for 38 years, lying among the multitude of the sick. When Jesus saw him lying there, he knew that the man had been crippled for a long time. And so Jesus said to him, do you truly long to be healed? The sick man answered him, sir, there's no way I can get healed, for I have no one who will lower me into the water when the angels come. As soon as I try to crawl to the edge of the pool, someone else jumps in ahead of me. Then Jesus said to him, stand up, pick up your sleeping mat, and you will walk. And immediately he stood up, he was healed. So he rolled up his mat and he walked again. And so here we have a Charlie Brown that we want to say hello to. We want to say hello to a Charlie Brown from the first century, a compelling story of a man who has a condition, right? And has had this condition for 38 years. This is a man who wants to come out of his condition, but somehow he is stuck. He sees his future right in front of him, but something has got a hold of him where he just won't budge. And 38 years is a long time to sit on your mat. And every day is the same, waiting and watching and hoping, and not much change is happening. And sitting on his mat has become a way of life for the man in today's gospel, right? So his life is stagnant. He's unable to see. He's unable to see that the deep well of life is within him. He's convinced that life will bubble up outside of him, over there, and outside of him, and over there, in that magic pool of water. So he sits on his mat, waiting and watching and hoping, that things will change, for him. This pool has become very significant for him, for the simple fact it's where this man believes his life will be changed forever. And do you want to be changed? If so, it's at this pool where your change will happen. So we think it's in you to change. It is in you to change, but you got to want to change, right? So it's in you to be what God has created you to be. And so at this pool, even though you're waiting for it to be stared, you just can't sit there hoping and wishing and waiting for a miracle. You got to do something about it. You got to put in the work so that you can see that this change, so that you can see your transformation, so that you can see this change take place in your life. Because how else are you going to understand, how are you becoming? This podcast is about becoming you, and this is things that we have to understand about ourselves when we know that change needs to happen. And so if God has given you a glimpse, right, of what your future is going to look like, why not take the chance and jump in? Like, why not take the chance and go for it? Why not take the chance and just go ahead and do the work, so that your change can happen, so that you can become a better version of yourself? Don't tell yourself as soon as this happens, then I will. Because most of the time we get caught up in saying as soon as, then I will. And we can't get ourselves caught up, in the soon as and then I will. And so there was a belief that this pool of water called Bethesda had healing properties and that it could change one's life. It was said that every now and then an angel would stir the water would begin to bubble, and the first one in the water would be healed, right? So the man in this text gets up off his mat until he sees the first bubble, and he's living in, and as soon as, and so when life hits, him, he's living in this, well, as soon as someone helped me in the water, as soon as somebody, let me get a turn, as soon as this, as soon as that, and as soon as that, and as soon as his life gets trickled down, as soon as he begins to basically cohort himself and, coach himself and saying, I'm never going to be changed. I'm never going to be healed. He continues to be in that as soon as, because the fact of the matter is, does he really want to be healed? The fact of the matter is, does he really want to see a change, in his life? The fact of the matter is that no one can help you get to the place that you need to get to until you are ready to get to that place of change and healing and whatever it is that you need to do the work and to really fix your life, right? I like the show Ayana Fix My Life. Sometimes Ayana Fix My Life, she's not going to be there. You're not going to have an Ayana Fix My Life kind of person to come to you and help you to get into that pool and to help you to get that change that you're looking for. And sometimes you have to go in and you have to do the work yourself. And you see, the pool of Bethesda is just an illusion, right? It is just an illusion. It's just an illusion, saying that, because the pool has been stirred and people, going in before me, it's just an illusion. That's just something that's in your mind telling you what you can and what you cannot do, right? And so it convinces us that our life is nothing more than our circumstances. It deceives us into believing that life is to be found outside of ourselves. It tricks us into living in as soon as life. And so most of us know what that is like. We say to ourselves, or maybe even out loud to another, as soon as this or that happens, everything will be better. I'll be happy. My problems will go away. I'll be satisfied. My dreams will come true. All will be well, right? And so, and one day you look up and you're still, guess what? In the same place, in the same position, sitting in the same area, waiting for someone to help you with your change. The pool of Bethesda has a strong attraction for us. You know, children often say, as soon as I get big, I'm going to do my own thing. As soon as I grow up, I'm going to have my own car. As soon as I am an adult, I'm going to get my own place. As soon as this or as soon as that, and it just continues throughout our life. As soon as, because as we get older, as we grow up, depending on where we're at in life, we're going to continue to have that as soon as, and guess what? Nothing is never, ever going to change. Some of you, think that, hey, I want to go to college. I want to do this. I want to do that, but, as soon as, my finances clear up, then I'll be able to do that. As soon as, my GPA goes up, then I'll be able to do that, right? We even do that with relationships. We get married or get out of a relationship because, maybe it didn't pan out the way that we thought that it would pan out. And so we have the, as soon as she gets right, or as soon as he get right, or as soon as she do this, or as soon as he does that. And that's, something that, will mess you up as an individual, because you know that you're trying to become the best version of yourself, right? And then when you have others, in the midst of your space, sometimes that will definitely keep you from becoming who you are. But for those of you, who are happily married, who are, sharing, the responsibilities and all that great stuff. You have your mate, complimenting you, complimenting your value, appreciating you, they're helping you to become a better version of yourself. And they're helping you with the change that you need to change so that you can, yes, become a better version of yourself. So we have to get out that thing where it says as soon as, and we keep adding as soon as. The problem is there will always be another pool of Bethesda and another as soon as, right? And so we got to get that out of our vocabulary, saying as soon as, as soon as. And meanwhile, when we keep saying this as soon as, meanwhile, life has been life has been put on hold. The pause button has been pushed. The pause button is like a tape recorder. Think about a tape recorder. You hit the play button, and then all of a sudden you hit the pause button, and the pause button has been pushed. You push the pause button. I'm talking about one of them old-fashioned tape recorders. You push the pause button, because, you want life to stop right there. You want life to stop right there, because you don't want to see any change further. You just rather be where you need to be so that you can get through this life, in the way that you need to get through it. So we sit on our mat, we self-imprison ourselves by the circumstances of our life. And so why is it that when God shows you your future, because God shows everybody their future, he gives you a glimpse of your potential and what's to come, and we have a problem of moving forward. We kind of get scared, we kind of get afraid, we kind of, say, well, let me pray about that again. Let me make sure that's what God is telling me to do or showing me that's what he has for me. No, we gotta, we have a problem sometimes of moving forward, because we get sidetracked on where life has us. No matter where life has you, you can't get sidetracked. You got to say to yourself, what? God is showing me my potential. God is giving me a glimpse of, how I need to move forward. And I have to, make this change happen, because if I don't make this change happen, guess what? You will get sidetracked on where you are at in life and not focus on where God wants you. So knowing that, if we focus on where God wants us, we can truly thrive in the areas God has shown us. So you see, the enemy wants to play tricks with your mind to suggest you can't make it or you can't handle it, you can't survive it. But the enemy is a liar and he's a deceiver too, because the enemy's job is to steal, kill, and destroy, and that's why he makes the world look so good, because he's actually on his assignment. He's actually doing what he does best, right? So we can stay uncomfortable. The enemy wants us to stay uncomfortable in what the world is providing us. And you weren't born to be part of the world system. You weren't created, you were created to thrive in the things of God, to thrive in who you are. And the enemy wants to keep your mind imprisoned, and imprisoned to the point of being comfortable with your imprisonment. I just said something right there. He wants you to be comfortable with your imprisonment. All right. So aren't you tired of being comfortable with your imprisonment? Don't you want God to come and disturb where you are at? Don't you want God to come and make you uncomfortable so that change can happen in your life, so that you can become a better, successful you, so that you can become a better version of yourself? The imprisonment is so great that when Jesus asked the man, do you want to be made well? And do you really want to change? The man doesn't even say yes. Instead, he offers circumstances and excuses. He says, I have no one to put me in the water. And when the water bubbles, others get there first and cuts him off. He says, others get there first and cuts me off. And now, why is it that when you want to get your breakthrough, right, when you want change to happen, in your life, you got to blame it on somebody else? Somebody else is not responsible for your breakthrough. You are, right? Somebody else is not responsible for your change. You are. And so somebody else is not responsible for your dreams. You are. That somebody else is trying to get his or her breakthrough, and so happens to want it bad enough to get it. And so how bad do you want to change your situation, your current situation, or your current condition? How bad do you want to move forward in life? How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to become a better version of yourself? So you must stop blaming people for why you can't move forward. It's not the people to blame. It's you. You are to blame for not changing your current condition. So in fact, if you want it so bad, why not stand at the edge of the pool, so when the water is stirred, you can just jump right on in? You see, sometimes you got to be proactive. You can't just sit on the sidelines thinking that when the time comes, or when the time is here, and when the time is right, you can just take your time getting there. Because when you take your time to get there, somebody else has already beaten you to the punch, right? So do you want somebody else to beat you to the punch? Do you want somebody else to beat you to the water? That this time is coming, when the angels are coming. That they're going to stir the pool. That pool is going to be stirred just for a little while, right? And so guess what? If you know that it's coming, if you know those angels are coming, why not be proactive? Why not prepare yourself to beat, all of those other ones who are trying to get their change on, right? So that you can get your change too. Just don't sit over there in the corner. Just don't sit over there on your mat. Just don't sit over there on your couch. Just don't sit over there in your chair. No, get up and go and make a change for yourself. Because when you make a change for yourself, you're actually bettering yourself. You're saying to yourself, you know what, I'm going to be different. I'm not going to allow people, to control me anymore. I'm not going to be in prison, imprisonment. My mind is not going to be in imprisonment. I'm going to get out here and do something for myself. I'm going to get out here, do something for myself, because I truly want to be made whole. I truly want to be the best version of myself. I want to be the best that God has created me to be. And I want to be able to live and do the things that God, has already set up for me to do. Right. And so I believe that people blame others for something that they are comfortable with. You see, some people like where they are. People do like where they are. And sometimes you do know that there are people who find a sense of security in sickness, and for them, suffering isn't that unpleasant because someone else does the work and worry for them. People do, feel comfortable, in their circumstances. People do feel comfortable in their situation, and they never want to change it. They never want to, make the change happen. They never want to make it better, right? Because they are comfortable in, sitting, in that lie, or sitting, in that deception, or sitting in that suffering, or sitting in that sickness, or sitting in whatever. And guess what? God is saying, you know what? I need you to get up. I need you to move. I need you to get up, move, and allow your change to happen. Because you see, if you don't get up and move, guess what? You're going to be still sitting in that same seat. You're going to be still sitting in that same position, and change will never happen for you. And so you see, most people won't get up, because they are comfortable where they are. They won't be a responsible person because they are comfortable where they are. They won't fight, for themselves because they are comfortable where they are. They are comfortable being in their condition. They are comfortable doing what's best, what best fits their lifestyle. They are comfortable being sick. They are comfortable, being cared for. They are comfortable, of their status of where they are. So guess what? For them, change is never going to happen because they're comfortable in that position. So why not stay the way, you are? Because that's the easy and comfortable way. So people like that comfortable way. It's like, when you remember when you were a child and when you got sick, your mother let you stay home, right? And that was great because you got to, lay on the couch all day long and watch, unlimited TV while your loving family brought you water and food and heavy doses of sympathy, right? It was such a soothing environment. You were motivated to get well soon. No, let me back that up. You weren't motivated to get well soon because you like being cared for. You like the attention. You like people, taking care of you. But God says, you have to get up out of that comfortable state so that He can make you uncomfortable to make you want to change and change for the better. You see, for 38 years, this man sat at this pool. And for 38 years is a long time to be able to settle into a kind of comfort and safety, even in misery. Being well holds more responsibility. Being changed holds more accountability. And some people don't want to change because they don't want responsibility or accountability. They don't want to get up every morning and strive for greatness. They don't want to get up every morning and strive for greatness because they rather just sit in that same position, sit in that same seat, and be comfortable where they're at and where they are. God says, I want to see you change. You no longer can stay the way that you are. You no longer can just get by, sitting in that seat and sitting in that same position. You no longer can live that lifestyle. God says He wants better for you. He wants change for you. So don't be what the world wants you to be because you're better than what the world is offering you, right? So I'm not suggesting that the circumstances of our lives are irrelevant or have no effect, but that's just not true. They do affect us. We are, however, more than the circumstances of life. Life is not to be found outside our various situations or circumstances, but within them. So to believe something other than this is to live constantly looking for the next pool of Bethesda. And so Jesus does not help the man get into the water. He comes to him on his mat, the same mat and situation. The man so wants to escape and speaks, and Jesus here, He speaks words of life, right? So Jesus telling him basically, get your butt up, get up off your mat, stand up, take your mat and walk, and this is so important because sometimes, He had someone to come. He had Jesus. That's what He had. We all have Jesus, but we got to learn how to accept Jesus, into our life and accept Him, for who He is in our life, right? And so when you're stuck in a place, when you continue to sit in the same position, when you continue to sit in the same seat, thinking that somebody's going to help you, you either got to go and do the work yourself, and then sometimes, like Jesus will come and say, hey, you're going to have those ones say, get your butt up out the chair, get your butt up out that seat, get your butt up out that position, and go walk. Go walk, go get your healing, go get your change, right? Sometimes you need those persons to push you. Sometimes those persons can come in the form of therapists, or counselors or coaches, but sometimes, you're so down in a rut that you will, need someone to help, snap you out of your current condition, so yeah, stand up, take your mat and walk. This is so important because sometimes we sit and sit and sit waiting for something magical to happen. And sometimes when we sit, that magical thing is not going to happen. The angel never appears, the water never stirs, and we are just as broken and just as powerless today as we were yesterday. The pool let us down, and here comes Jesus, who reaches out to us in our waiting, and in our waiting is now over, and our healing begins, and our change begins. And this is the sign, the point I believe that Jesus is making. Jesus brings life, while everything else just brings waiting. Wow, 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 everything. Jesus brings life, while everything else brings waiting. While this man waited 38 years to get in the pool, here comes Jesus speaking life into his dead situation. Get up, get up, get up out that seat, get up out that position, and go. Take your mat and walk. Take your mat and walk. That is all this man needed, was Jesus himself to speak life into existence for him. How many of you know that people can speak life into existence for you, but you got to be willing to accept what they're speaking, into your life. Now, I'm not saying to accept those, who are speaking, doom and death and all that stuff, over your life. No, you want those ones that's going to empower you, inspire you, to get up, take your mat and walk. Those are the voices that you want to hear, because those are the voices that are giving you the strength to move forward in life, and to go and make that change, right? And so when Jesus spoke, the man believed. And that's another thing too. You got to believe, when something is spoken to you. You got to believe that, yes, this is for me. And it's like, you have the prophetic voices that, speak prophetically in people's lives. And you got to believe that, that prophetic word is for you. This Jesus spoke prophetically in this man's life, told him to get up, take your mat and walk. And the man believed. And that's why we have to have an ear to hear what the Spirit has to say. Sometimes the Spirit does come down, in our prayer, when we're meditating, when we're reading the Word, or even when we're reading, self-help books. The Spirit will come, and speak a thing to us, and we got to accept what the Spirit is saying, because that is for our good. It is for our good that whatever the Spirit is saying to us, to help us to get out that seat, to get out that position, and to take our mat and get up and walk. This man, hearing, became sensitive. His hearing became sensitive to the voice of Jesus. That's why it is very important that when God speaks, you must listen. Because in his speaking, he's going to speak to you about change. He's going to speak to you about your future. He's going to speak to you about your assignment. He's going to speak to you about your potential. He's just going to speak to you. And so when God speaks, we must listen to what he has to say to us. The man does not leave his mat behind. He goes with it. The mat came with it. So the mat came with him. His circumstances are real. The difference is he now carries them, and they no longer carry him. So instead of the mat carrying him, he now is carrying the mat. Because he took the advice, the prophetic voice of Jesus, and he did what Jesus told him to do. Jesus told him to get up and walk. Get up, walk, take your mat and walk. Get up, take your mat and walk. And that's what the man did. That's what the man did. And that's why he's able to carry his mat versus allowing his mat to carry him. And so today, I just want to encourage you that, when it's time to make a change, it's time to make a change. It's time to make a change for the better, for the good. Jesus doesn't change our outer circumstances. No, he changes us. He calls us into a new way of being, seeing, acting, speaking, thinking. And when we stand and rise to that new life, we discover the circumstances have somehow changed. We discover that the circumstances that we're in, the situations that we have, somehow they have changed. And that change was because we changed. And that doesn't necessarily make life easy or easy. We no longer have to deal with the circumstances of life. It makes our circumstances more manageable, and we engage them from a different place and position because we got out the seat. We got out of that position, and we took our mat and we walked. You see, the pool of Bethesda is drained of its power over us. There's freedom where there was once imprisonment. The life Jesus offered does not happen as soon as. It happens in this place, at this time, in these circumstances. Are you sitting on your mat? Are you looking for a pool of Bethesda? I want you to stand up, take your mat, and walk. Because God says you've been in this place long enough. No more excuses. Stop cheating yourself out of your blessing. Stop cheating yourself out of your changed life. Stop cheating yourself on becoming a better version of yourself. Because God says you don't need to get to the pool. Just stand up and walk. Just stand up and walk. Just stand up and walk. It is on the outside of the pool where this man gets his life back. He didn't have to go into the pool to change. No, all he had to do was get up, take his mat, and walk. And many of us would believe that the pool would be our answer to a better life. No, sometimes the pool is just a scam or a gimmick. You see, your future. Stop letting everybody get in front of you. You have the power to do something about it. You have the power to do something about it. And God has given you the power to stand, to take your mat and walk, and allow this change to be for your good. Allow this change to empower you. Allow this change to make you a better version of yourself. Allow this change to help you to thrive and soar and flourish in the things that God wants for you. So you have to be willing to change. No matter where you are at in life, no matter where you stand at in life, stop sitting in that same position. Stop sitting in that same seat. Stop sitting in that same position. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. It's for you. Get up. Change is for you. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Because this is for you. This is for you. All you gotta do is stand. Stand up. Take your mat. And walk. And see that change is gonna happen. You see, you gotta make the first move. When you make the first move, you'll begin to see the change happen. When you make the first move, you'll begin to see your walk is different. When you begin to make the first move, your mindset is going to change. When you begin to make the first move, you're going to be renewing your mind at the same time. When you begin to make the first move, you're going to begin to see a better version of yourself. You're going to be able to see a better version of yourself. So don't let your condition, your situation, or your circumstance become you. Don't get comfortable in the seat that you're in. Don't get comfortable in the position that you're in. Don't get comfortable, because God doesn't want you to get comfortable. He wants you to get up and move. He wants you to get up, stand up, take your mat, and walk. Just like when we talked about the illustration earlier, when Charlie Brown was on that ship, he couldn't find a chair, a folding chair, where he can unfold to sit on the deck of the boat. He just didn't know how to unfold the chair. He didn't know how to unfold the chair. So he couldn't tell where he was. He couldn't tell where he was going. because he never got the opportunity to unfold the chair. God is saying to you today, unfold the chair. Unfold the chair. Unfold the chair so that you can get up, stand up, walk, and see your change come. I'm Dr. Diane Duckett, and thank you for listening to the podcast, Becoming You.